sure that we see some of this wealth, we see some of this money that's coming in because there's a lot coming in. And we got to be wise. We got to come with a unified front towards taking place, right? Recently, we caught up with some of these details coming in from Team Green, the leader of Team Green, going into Parliament right now, right? And he had this to say about what's going on as it relates to the opposition.
Our discussions between the APNU and WIN, those discussions did not lead to an agreement. I personally risked political capital and lost political capital by stepping into those discussions. And I was unsuccessful in bringing about some kind of an understanding. And I will say that the major issue on which there was lack of movement was the sharing of the spoils in Region 10. Specifically, WIN refused, and I have put evidence in the public domain to this effect, that WIN refused to offer the APNU the vice chairmanship in Region 10. There were other issues, there were other regions at play, but let's leave those aside for now. That would just complicate the discussion. So this impasse could have been avoided if an agreement was struck. Let me jump ahead for a second and say also that there was similar reluctance to have sharing of the spoils during the debates as it relates to the speaking time of shadows. All right? Proportionately, we would have asked for, I think, eight shadow ministries. One would have gone to Forward Guyana. That would have been 8 and 1, 9. And I think 20, sorry. There were 20 ministries. And so we would have asked 8, 11 to WIN and 1 to Forward Guyana. We weren't able to strike an agreement. Mm-hmm. So if an agreement had been struck in relation to the chairman and vice chairman, the sharing of the spoils, we would not be having this particular discussion today. Now, there was an election for the chairman, and it was not as clear cut as you were trying to make it out, Alan, because we saw a situation where WIN, I think, got 9 seats. The APNU's candidate got 9 seats as well. Mm-hmm. And there are questions as to where that other vote came from.
Right.
So it is not, let me say this without, I don't want to delve too far into this. It is not as straightforward as it would seem that because WIN has 9, that they would automatically win the vice chairmanship. They do require 1 more. Right. I believe Forward Guyana has said that they will support. But what happens if there's a defection from WIN? Right? Okay. But let me go on 1 second. Let me go on to the issue of the chairman. I personally believe that democracy is undermined by the delay. I personally believe in having a chairman and elected for the regional council. That regional council, we've had the budget, and that regional council, their chairman and vice chairman and so on would not have been consulted. But this government is not enthusiastic about consulting anyone. They didn't consult with the opposition parties. I don't think they consulted with the trade unions, or at least trade unions not supportive of them. But democracy is undermined by the delay. And the faster it's fixed, the better.
Right. So, I mean, I just want to point out, you said you lost political capital by trying to get a deal between Win and APNU. But the failure of that attempt should not have led to the kind of stalemate that occurred, because it's clear.
I'm telling you, Honorable Mr. Campbell highlighting, he said, listen, this is how I lose with Win. This is how I lost with Win. We all think about some of what we're hearing right there. I'm going to try to put the banner up on the screen so persons can call in with their views as we continue to get these highlights coming in from the Honorable Dr. Campbell. Right?
Really, the election should have gone ahead, and the fact that the REO has not called it clearly showed that the PPP is prepared to sort of allow the status quo so it can control through the REO and whoever it is it has influence over. So that even if you didn't strike a deal, surely that should play second fiddle to the need to get the chair and the deputy chair elected based on the results. So I'll just make that point.
Well, let me say that it politically it became very difficult because forces aligned, or that they didn't say, I don't think they said the AP, it was PNC and the PPP are gone together. And you did allude to your questioning, right? That the PNC and the PPP are now together. To do what no one else has been able to do before. The PNC and the PPP are together. No such thing takes place, at least not as far as I know, and under no circumstances will I engage in the PNC or the AP and you to decide to form an alliance with the PPP. But forces allied.
So you are getting the clear understanding of the parameters of what's going on so far within the opposition. And Rebel Dr. Campbell saying, listen, the only thing I'm not going to be a part of is if the APNU or the PNC say, look, do we partner up with who? The PPP. Let me hear some more.
To Win came out to push that narrative, and that was not helpful. Again, it was not helpful to opposition unity, opposition cooperation. I believe it impacts that even to this day.
Right.
The fact that you even asked the question and suggested it shows that it is impacting it to this day.
It does. If listeners are just joining us now, you're watching OGGN's podcast. This show is being brought to you by the Oil and Gas Governance Network, which comprises Guyanese here and in the diaspora. More Guyana oil-related material can be found on www.oggn.org. Members of the audience can give OGGN a thumbs up or like on the KN Facebook page or the KN YouTube page. The topic today is keeping the government of Guyana accountable, and we're pleased to have Terence Campbell as our guest. So, Terence, I want to switch now to the last budget. In the budget debate in Parliament, Finance Minister Ashley Singh more or less mocked the opposition for what he said was not speaking substantively on the oil and gas sector, which is, of course, the dominant part of the economy for now and the future. How do you respond? Do you think that you did a sufficient job as it relates to speaking on oil and gas matters, given its importance to the economy?
Let me say that I can't speak about the Win Party or for Guyana. I can speak to the APNU parliamentary delegation. I remember MP Sharma Solomon calling for all contracts in relation to gas, the energy, to be placed in the public domain. And I believe that I would have addressed some issues in relation to the Natural Resource Fund. But and again, this is politics, our hands were tied. And I have to go back to the issue of the shadows. We were originally offered 5 shadows, which we felt was inadequate. It was not based on proportionality. The same thing may have happened with the committee assignments whenever they come up, but that has a specific formula. Now, we rejected the offer of 5, and then we were reduced to 2, myself being the finance shadow, and the Honorable Dexter Todd to be the shadow of the Attorney General. And we also rejected that on a matter of principle that the entire team had not been treated fairly. So we were, MP Sharma Solomon is the shadow for natural resources. And so in the space of 15 plus 5 minutes, he was tasked to deal with mining, forestry, oil and gas, Region 10, sand quarrying, all in the space of 15 plus 5. So it would have been difficult in that period and with the limitations in terms of time for us to properly address the issue of oil and gas. I will return to it maybe later this week, because there was an interesting point in that debate when I questioned the Honorable Prime Minister about, because I think I specifically laid out the case either in Parliament or just before, that the choice of Wales had been a political choice and not a choice made based on feasibility studies and so on. In fact, under the APNU government, I think Clonbrook was the original choice for landing the pipeline, and with a total cost of about 800 million, and we now way over 2 billion. Right. So I think I laid out the case previously, and when you consider parliamentarians now, and you've got to consider both what we say in Parliament, which is limited because Parliament is rarely called, and what we say outside of Parliament, what we say maybe in our letters to the newspaper, what we say on our social media pages, what we say in press conferences, what we say in interviews like this.
Yeah, don't forget, Honorable Dr. Campbell highlighted as well that every 4th sitting of Parliament, the opposition gets to take the floor and present situations and things that they want to discuss, more than likely that persons would have called for representation on, or things that they generally want to highlight from the opposition's perspective. Every 4th sitting. So far, we had a sitting for the budget, and maybe if it's a rough average, we could say that is roughly 1 sitting every 6 months. So that means it's probably till late 2027. Then we might be seeing the 4th sitting that more than likely might give them the opportunity. Let's hope that that's not a reality. Let's hope that that's some bad maths by Delta 9 Media and everything moves forward in a faster pace, and they're able to do that even before the ending of this year, because something got to change with the way that this whole process with Parliament and stuff is going on. We all think about what we're seeing right here. You're hearing about food crisis, you're hearing about all of these other things, cost of living, gas shortage, and all of that going on, and there's no sitting of the General Assembly to discuss these very important matters, right thinking Guyanese, right thinking persons that are outside of Guyana, highlighting and paying attention to all what's taking place. It's very important, very, very important, because that's the formal way how things should be done in any democratic nation.
So I specifically, so one, the choice was political to my mind. Secondly, there is an issue, and you know this, that a lot of costs have been driven up because of poor soil, right?
Yeah.
And I think I lured the Prime Minister, and I will return to it soon in a video release, maybe over the next 2 weeks, maybe even before the end of this week, where I said to the Prime Minister, I said, listen, I have put up buildings and had soil problems, which is true, right? And I said, so feel free to let us know what happened. And he came up and he said, and I got to get his exact words, he said something, because we care about the Guyanese people, we had a second soil test done. The problem, Anna, with them, and to this day, I don't know if they ever revealed it. Maybe I missed it. You've been very close to, much closer to the action than I have been. They have never released a feasibility test, a feasibility study for the oil and gas, the gas to energy project. That has never been released. I've never seen it. Second, I believe that the soil test that was done originally was not done properly. And that is the reason we ended up in, part of the reason we ended up in this massive problem that we have.
Okay.
He admitted to it in Parliament, and I have asked my PR people to go back and pull back, because I'll tell you something that happened when he admitted to it. Anil Nandaland got up at that point and walked out. I don't think he was happy, right?
Yeah. But once it's there in Hansard, you have it there, so it's really just to go back. All right. So just let me just briefly.
Hold on. Let me finish this. So within the limited time, we have addressed issues that we wanted to draw out on oil and gas. And even though it's long past the budget, so many things have been going on. I mean, including Marudi, or the seen me out there fighting with them.
Busy and on the ground. That's Team Green, making sure that things get done, right? Very, very busy and active on the ground. If only there was formalities in Parliament and funding for certain projects by the opposition, and if there was more implementation in certain communities coming from the government. I know just recently today I see Honorable Mr. Duncan and Honorable Mr. Andrews was out and about showcasing what's going on down Breakdown. If you see these holes and these waves in the road, and people talking about taking over streets and all kind of thing, and Breakdown, one of the most important streets that's run all through the city, straight from, you could come straight from the market all the way up to Coffee. One straight road, right? Supposed to be in better condition than those, some big pothole and waves and all of them things. Unnecessary. If there is maintenance being done on these roadways, right? You won't see all of that going on if persons are doing scheduled maintenance instead of waiting until things get to that level, right? They're wasting a certain money and time, right? Kim Raj is saying this: why Guyana not having auditors reporting on all 10 regions, right? And ministries display to the public. I tell you, there's a very important question that you ask right there. We gotta ask ourselves, where is these auditors and how come they're not active? Because I'm pretty sure they gotta got persons that is taking care of some amount of evaluation as to what's really taking place. But when is this information gonna be public? Because we know that there's some amount of rules in what's taking place. That can't be normal what's going on right there. Not at all. Could never be normal. Could never be normal. All right. Kena music. Kena Stone music is highlighting this. Give thanks for the going down and the rising. Pick up yourself. Can't keep the government accountable when outside influences is playing a big role in our resources. When you think about it, you gotta ask yourself, so that means cane and stone, right? Any person you put in there in them positions of power is gonna get them same problem. You think any person that we put, given the fact of all of these outside influences like we're talking about, right? You think any person that go in these positions of power is gonna have these same problem? What do you think about that? Or it depends on who you put there and what persons might gap on them. What do you think? And this is another powerful point right here. What Kim Rogers highlighted, Kim Rogers saying there's no bulk petrol reserve in Guyana. Now we gotta ask ourselves how come and why. You understand? Who's responsible for us establishing something like this and how many benefits? What's the pros and the cons for something like this? I know it got a whole lot of benefit to having your own reserve because you could always reserve the oil, and far as I can see, these prices just keep going up. These prices keep going up right now per barrel, and oil don't spoil. So everything else is self-explanatory as it relates to that. Because we should have something like that, given that we have so much of the resource. And if we plan on getting the most from our resources, we definitely should have something like that in our nation. I wonder if that is one of the things that is going to be established in the gas to energy project. And then I want to know what's really going on with this gas to energy project. What's the steps that is still left undone, and